Like you gave an example, people wait 10 years to double their net worth. And we're talking about, 800% on your portfolio right now going into the halving. It's incredible.
This is the Mooncast.
See you, Space Cowboy.
In today's exciting part one of a two-part series, we're diving deep with DXB Crypto, a renowned crypto influencer and entrepreneur. Today we'll navigate through the intricate maze of crypto taxation and debate the burning question: should Bitcoin be taxed? Join us as we trace DXB Crypto's remarkable journey as a crypto influencer and an investor, uncovering the strategies that led to his success. We'll explore the art of taking profits and finding balance in life after the bull market's adrenaline rush. Discover how liquidity flows have evolved from the last cycle, impacting the market in unforeseen ways. We'll also delve into the vibrant Solana ecosystem and the crazy world of meme coins. Are they just a fad or a phenomenon here to stay? Find out now, and I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, whether you're watching from YouTube or from Spotify. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for continuing to support me on this journey. And I hope you guys enjoy this content. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
Victor Tango Mike, do you copy? And man,
Yeah.
you sound clear. You sound very clear, bro.
Yeah. Dude, how are you, man? It's nice to finally get to talk to you, man.
I honestly, first of all, I'm an absolute novice, and I'm doing all this technology myself. But the one thing that I love is crypto, and
Yeah.
I was aware of your podcast, and when you dropped me that message, man, I was super excited, bro. I was super
Oh,
excited. I knew it's gonna be pretty cool, man. Yeah.
oh
So
man, I
yeah, all
appreciate
good.
that, man. Yeah, dude, you make a great point about because I'm actually a semi-professional retired basketball player. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so dude, when it comes to technology, man, I have no idea, or at the beginning I had no idea what I was doing at all, but I just knew that's where the wave was, so I was like,
Oh,
how can I
bro,
catch the wave? Yeah. So
you've done
I think similar
amazing.
to you, right?
Well, even I mean, for me, it was kind of like I've been in the crypto space for a bit, but the interesting, I never forget the first comment I had on YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
this stuff was legendary because I was an early Casper investor, and as a result, I started to talk about Casper like about over a year ago, and I
Yeah.
remember no one was watching my videos. The headset was my PlayStation headset. Just about figured out how to use OBS Studio, and I had
Yeah.
like one person saying to me, "Listen, man, I had a long shift. This German guy, I had a long shift. I came back, looking forward to your podcast. I can't hear anything, and dude, sort out your audio." Then I thought, I sat down that night thinking, in the Dubai heat, of course, I was like, man, there's audience for this stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I never forget, from then onwards, it was just kind of like, okay, that's the confirmation bias you want. You want your message to be absolutely unfiltered and to get
Yeah.
to the right people. So yeah, it was for me, it was
Yeah.
I think I started off and I kept those videos on my channel. So
It's good.
all of my whack videos, if you go back to a year in my channel, it's all there,
Yeah.
bro. It's all there for the record. So yeah, not
Yeah.
can't complain at all, man. Can't complain at
Yeah.
all.
Dude, I respect the hustle, man, for sure. But like, how long have you been in the crypto space actually? Because I know for me, I've been in since 2020 is when I got in. So this is my second cycle. Are you a second cycle or third cycler?
Man, I don't even know the difference between cycles anymore. If I'm being honest, but I've been in crypto for, well, the first time I had an interest was back in 2013, and
Yeah.
it was around the Bitcoin time. So although I had an interest in crypto and I was desperately finding ways to get into it, I never managed to get in back in 2013. And I remember at the time I had an opportunity to buy a hard drive full of Bitcoin. And because of a disagreement between me and a friend, we this was in the heart of London at the time, and we really couldn't agree on a price of £500 with the seller, because
Yeah,
we had no way to verify what it was. I mean, we knew there was like
yeah,
thousands of Bitcoins in there. We had no idea what it was. So
yeah.
and then in 2016, was it 2015, 2016, my brother was really heavy into the stuff, and the poor guy got done with a massive scandal by something called OneCoin.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you remember, there's an
Oddly,
entire.
oddly enough, I actually live in the country that the one coin lady is from. So I'm currently
Oh
living in
wow.
Bulgaria right now.
Oh wow, bro,
Yeah,
that was ridiculous. So that would have been my first cycle, around about the time 2015. Entered crypto fully, and I remember, because obviously the pyramid scheme and the whole sign up people. I just remember
yeah,
my brother constantly trying to get me into OneCoin, and I'm looking at ETH and Bitcoin further down the line, and I'm thinking, nah, dude, there's other ways. So I've been in it. I mean, proper cycles, I will say probably this is my third cycle.
okay,
My
okay.
first cycle was purely accidental. Introduction to crypto by OneCoin.
Sounds like all of us, man. You
Just
just randomly stumble. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. Everybody has the same story, bro. Because for me, it was my exchange. Because I
right.
was in the stocks, and they randomly just put Bitcoin as, something that you could trade, and I was like, what the hell is this? Well, I've heard of it before, but it's not a
What is it?
stock. Is there a CEO? Like, is there earnings report? So, so you started, so after the one coin, so you were part of the whole ICO craze back in 2017 too as well. Did you take part in that too?
I did accidentally. It's weird because it was kind of like we knew where the wind was heading, but you
Yeah.
actually, and it's funny that a lot of the OGs now, especially I see a lot of them in Dubai, and
Yeah.
everybody, with the benefit of hindsight, of course, and you're lining up your pockets, things happening really to you. Um, is for me, I take a different stance and saying, look, man, we can never be, um, you know, we can have experience, but we can never actually look back in those Wild West days and say to
Yeah.
ourselves, look, man, we knew what we were doing across the board.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless your name is Da Vinci J15 or something like that, where you've been
That.
talking about buying Bitcoin at the dollar, and
Mm-hmm.
he knew. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was so clear with his vision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the rest, I think, there's a lot of accidental whales, and in my
Yeah.
opinion, that's why I think anyone who's coming into the market today, and I almost hate the word newbie
Yeah.
in crypto, because you can never know enough. Even for us, you coming from stocks and me, being almost scammed by OneCoin and all of that experience that we've had, there's always the next thing that happens. So I think as more people come into crypto now, I would say,
Yeah.
providing they do the foundational education well, I think everybody has an equal opportunity. And even I attended a seminar the other day, an AMA with a big crypto launchpad, and even
Mm-hmm.
launchpads are struggling now.
Yeah. I
So
know.
there
I
has
know.
to be a way to democratize the entire space. So yeah, I think the accidentally made money in crypto is going to be the story of a lot of people. But if we can
Yeah.
help people now realize that A, they're never too late for this thing, and B, they just need to learn properly and then invest, I think a lot of people will do well in this. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a bit too. I feel like the people that make the most money are the people that are the most gullible, actually.
Yeah.
Like the ones who just like dream big and they just like throw in their life savings into a meme coin and it goes to the moon. And I'm like, man, like I miss that. I feel like
Yeah.
I sometimes I feel like I need to dumb down a little bit of my intellect. Do you feel the same sometimes too?
Absolutely. But the only difference between you and I is the I'm actually from that side, from the
Yeah,
reckless
yeah,
side.
yeah.
Naturally, I can give you a funny story. If I had a night out, I'd be the reckless one. If I played football or something, I'd be the one that takes a chance. And I think there's the perfect term, which is degen in crypto. um
Yeah.
it got me burnt a lot. And I think sometimes the quality that you have in terms of the risk assessment, I think that wins in the long term, in terms of finding quality projects and not being paper hands, and making sure that you just, like, you do a Bitcoin or an Ethereum investment and you leave it
Yeah.
for five years, 10 years, whatever it might be. But for those in the casino, I mean, which is which is not a good thing. It's
Yeah.
honestly, crypto is notorious for that. Yeah.
This
But
cycle is kind of weird, man. Like, I don't know, because like it's already all time high, and it was kind of anticlimactic too. Like, I was like, oh, it's all time high, and then like nothing really. The Google searches didn't really go up that much. Nobody really cared. Retail isn't really that engaged. I'm like, are we going either much higher, or is this going to be an accelerated cycle? Like, what do you think, man? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think.
so I run this private group in my community, and let me tell you something, man. When when we saw crypto go to 70,000 plus, right? And then we had that explosion of meme coins. I had
Yeah.
some really, really big guys in the group. They messaged me. They were like, "Dude, this looks like the end of a cycle." So
Yeah.
we've had the new all-time highs, and we've had, obviously, now this explosion of these meme coins. And it just, everything indicates that, and some of us were worried because who knows, it's crypto, right? But
Yeah.
I think the elephant in the room now is, I almost see a decoupling of Bitcoin from altcoins in the near future, because I think Bitcoin's going to go to a level where they just don't want it to be that volatile. And
Yeah.
that kind of, it's exciting in a way, because it just means that we're going to have the casino of the altcoins, and then maybe Bitcoin, and they take Ethereum out, followed by Solana, and they make it a bit more kind of stable in that sense. But I think in terms of a cycle, it's going to be possibly the longest bull run we've ever had. uh, Factoring in the recession is there, and I think people are saying, look, it can never happen. But a lot of my profit taking adjustments, I'm looking at early next year, just to kind of have an overall assessment of where the market is going to go. Because again, I run into people. There's lots of now crypto billionaires and millionaires mingling around in Dubai, because
Yeah.
it's becoming such a good tax haven and a crypto friendly place to do business. Um, Profit taking for the retail is November, and that they're just going by what happened last time round,
Yeah.
really. And
Yeah.
people could get stung, because if it's a shorter cycle, I think profit taking will happen starting from January next year all the way into the summer. And then obviously retail could be facing an empty November, December
Yeah.
2025. But for me, I think we will have the longest and probably the most aggressive bull run there's ever been. I think
Yeah.
easily it's going to be one of the longest. Maybe goes into next year, possibly early Q1 26. Sorry, in 2 years. So 18 months from now is probably when I'm estimating things to be coming to an end.
Yeah, for me, I actually had targets to take profits aggressively in Q1 next year, and I'm actually looking to adjust those targets that I had initially, because I'm looking at the acceleration of my portfolio in terms of percentage gains, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, I'm already up like 750% on my position. So I'm like, okay, maybe this year I should just take some off the table, rotate them into like some land, some real estate, something like that. I'm actually looking at Africa a lot, actually, as a very, really lucrative opportunity to, one, kind of bridge the diaspora, but two, also, you know, take some wealth over there too as well, is because it's still very early and there's not as much saturation in terms of competition. But I think that for me, I think my profit taking strategy, because it's different for everybody depending on like when you bought, right? And for me, I was accumulating a lot at the teens, like the 17, 18, 19 range, a lot. I was like, hey, it's do or die. Either I get wrecked or I go to the moon because there's no other option for me, bro. And I'm a moon boy, bro. Like, I'm a moon boy at heart, man. And I take massive risk and I double down on my theses, because once I've done the research and I have the conviction, I double down, man. And if I get wrecked, then I get wrecked. And sometimes I've gotten wrecked, not just in crypto, but just in life, you know. But sometimes I make a lot of money, you know. So it's just kind of how it goes, man. And
Wow.
so for me, I think I'm going to take probably 20% of my portfolio off the table, chips off the table, at least so I've garnered a significant amount of profits for myself in Q4 of this year. And then after that, it's going to then be gradual, slowly taking profits, you know, off the table. Because when you're like, imagine I've beaten the S&P 500 and, you know, the Wall Street boys by like hundreds of percents, you know?
Wow. Wow. Bro,
So yeah. So this is when you have to, I think a lot of people, they don't put stuff into perspective, that doubling your money even takes like 5 to 10 years, you know?
Wow.
That's like a really good investment. But in crypto, you double your money in like a week, you know? It's like,
absolutely overnight.
yeah, it just gives you that illusion that like this is a common thing and everyone can do it and you should be able to do it too. And it kind of distorts your reality of the real world and how it works. And I think another thing that's different about crypto than with the stock market is you're playing against like 14, 15-year-olds in their mom's basement with nothing but time, you know? So people don't take that into account. Like it's permissionless. So it doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from, what location. You could literally be playing against somebody else that's just literally has more time available to like watch the charts all day, to get information, to screen all these different Discord channels and Telegram channels. And yeah, and you could be playing against people that simply just have way more money than you do, you know? So for them, you want to talk about the whales.
Oh man, that is so true, and I couldn't agree with you more. But I do love the fact that you make a solid point when it comes to profit taking. I think people don't understand. Like you gave an example. You know, people wait 10 years to double their net worth, and we're talking about 800% on your portfolio right now, going into the halving. You know, it's incredible. And I think the greed ultimately is what kills people in this market. And just by you giving them that example, because I think again, even for my audience, coming from somebody like you who has a stocks background and just the appreciation of capital increase, that's going to be powerful. And I think all the time I do constant revisions of what I think a project can do from the current point. And when you say 20x, people laugh at you and they're like, what do you mean? It's meant to be 100x there. Like, do you understand what x's are, man?
Oh yeah. A 10x is FUD in the bull market. It's FUD. Only a 10x? What are you talking about? It's crazy.
I'm your channel, man. I'm canceling my subscription. I don't like you at all. And you start thinking, okay, you know what if I told you you're gonna get 1000x with your $100 on that play? And this is again, people listening to, for example, people watching your channel, and I advocate and I want all my people to come over to your side, because I think the perspective that you provide as kind of like giving people the idea of investment tools, investment vehicles, and just looking at things from a macro level, because we're all here, we're meme coining, we're We're
Yeah.
degening. The money is coming in, but you talked
Yeah.
about, for example, for the diaspora, you talked about investments in Africa, for example.
Yes.
I think that alone deserves a separate discussion, because people don't understand when you take your money from crypto and you've got those stable coins, what do you do with it? And this is how a lot
Yeah.
of people wreck themselves. Like literally,
Exactly.
they don't take money out of the crypto market, and
Yeah.
that's another impending disaster. So, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to travel to, all over Africa, South Africa, East Africa, in Kenya,
Mm-hmm.
Egypt in North Africa, and definitely Nigeria. Spent some time in Abuja, and
Mm.
I understand how going into new frontiers, for example, as a global citizen, because like you said, trustless, right? We are now in an era where we're competing against 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds in their basements using
Yeah.
MetaMask.
It trust
You know,
wallet.
trust wallet, man. These guys are completely trustless. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like being a global citizen, and this is why I hope a lot of my community to actually move to Dubai, or move to a place where they can do crypto and commerce. And for anybody who's not been over here, I think most people have come here for holiday, but they don't realize Dubai is a gateway and a business hub for the center. Like, you got Africa here, you got Asia there, you got Europe, and then obviously onward markets to the North American markets. And I think taking that capital, putting it into real estate, in real life businesses, commodities businesses, anything, but
Yeah.
knowing there's life after the bull run, it's
Yeah.
also worth investing in, man. But yeah, no, thank you for that. And I think, that's a side of the channel that we're hopefully going to start, perhaps maybe doing a couple of more things with you as well. But I think
Yeah.
that's something that I want my audience to be educated on. There's one guy in the States who visited me here, and he's got like a business plan. And I was like, where are you going? And he was like, look, he's from Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
comes to Dubai, we have a meeting, and his business plan is actually based in Sierra Leone, right?
Really?
Honestly,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. What does he? What does it? What does it do? What does he do? What's the proposal proposition?
commodities.
Oh, commodities.
Commodities. West Africa is absolutely rich with commodities
Exactly.
that is needed by both the East and the West. So
Exactly.
this guy coming from Virginia found the gap. He was like, "Look, I'm coming to you there because he wants to set a business hub here." And
Yeah.
then when I found out like where he's going and ultimate aims, like, man, I'm on my way to Sierra Leone,
Yeah.
and the guy's not even African,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I think, again, like you said, for the diaspora, like the opportunities are there,
I
and
know.
through crypto we are definitely part of the trustless, countryless, borderless generation. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to, because here's my thing. I think that there's a lot of really bad press and a lot of really bad marketing when it comes to even just vacationing in Africa. And a lot of people don't really understand, like, some of these countries are, I would argue, even more advanced than a lot of the West. Like, if you look at Rwanda, for instance, I was in Kigali, and the streets are so clean in Kigali. And I was asking my buddy, I was like, why are the streets so clean? And he was like, every last Saturday of every month, they do a national cleaning. So everybody has to go outside for X amount of hours and clean, and they have an area beautification manager that does a checklist and everything. And it's super structured and organized, easy to do business. You can start a business in like 6 hours.
Wow.
Very, very safe. People running around. I saw foreigners running around, like going for jogs, late night jogs at like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. with headphones in.
Wow.
That's how safe it is, and how peaceful it was too. And the infrastructure, I was honestly blown away. And I actually got a chance to see Paul Kagame, who's the president, give a speech before a concert. I went to Kendrick Lamar, so he actually was there too. And Kagame gave a speech, and people were crying, like they love him. But
Wow.
the media, they basically pushed that, oh, he's a dictator, or oh this, and I know that that's complete BS, because I was there, and people love him. They love the infrastructure he set up, the law and order he set up. Rwanda for me is a very much at the forefront of change in Africa, and I think a lot of people need to look into what Paul Kagame is doing and see if they can replicate that, throughout the different parts of Africa. But there is issues in certain regions where it's a little bit harder. Africa is very, very. I don't want to get too much on a tangent because this is about crypto, but it's so nuanced. It's such a nuanced topic, but it's something maybe we can come back on and talk about more in detail. But I do want to talk about, because I had a question for you, because I was thinking about this recently in the past like 48 hours, and I was thinking, like, is buying Bitcoin like the greatest IQ test of like our generation?
Great question. And to be honest, the answer is 100% yes. And but again, when I think about that question, the struggle for me has been a 10-year plus struggle with the same question. You know,
Yeah,
is this the is this the enigma, the greatest question? And I think sometimes if you simplify it, you understand a lot more about where it is. And there was a great example given by Michael Saylor in an interview about Bitcoin in general, and he used the New York real estate as an example. So the guy's like, look, is it worth it? It's too expensive for me, man. Quite simply, right? Value proposition wise. So he
yeah,
turns
yeah,
around and he says, look, he gives a direct comparison between Bitcoin and New York real estate in 1775 or something. Um, and he's like, look, if you bought real estate in New York in 1775, you would have been late. But what if you bought the same real estate in 1885 and then 1975? So
yeah,
for a lot of, like, again, the question now and then, that obviously leads us into other dynamics within Bitcoin
yeah,
itself. Should you be going into Bitcoin today because it's going to change your life right now? The answer for many people, for people that don't have enough money to invest in Bitcoin, for me, it makes no sense for you to go and buy 0.05 Bitcoin and hope that's going to secure your future. And I
yeah,
think this is where the store of value debate comes in. But then if you go to that question with Michael Saylor, if you've got the vision, I mean, you've been buying at 17 and a half, 16.9, probably FTX times,
yes,
and December 2022,
yeah,
going into
exactly,
January 2023. This is when we
exactly,
we would have been absolutely heavy on it and been long on Bitcoin. So to answer your question, I think it is, and I don't think people actually even understand till today what Bitcoin really is. Is it a store of value? Is it a P2P transfer of money? Is it the fastest cryptocurrency out there? It's not the fastest. It's not the blocks take time to produce.
yeah,
But there's still heavy mining involved. But in terms of the scarcity and in terms of being the OG, and just all you have to do is see out 10 years, right? And I always go back to again, Da Vinci Jeremy's video 10 years ago, and buy a friggin' dollar of Bitcoin. Like the guy was saying, buy a Bitcoin now. He now lives in Dubai. He's a global citizen, a multi-billionaire, doesn't really need anybody. But he saw what happened in 2008, and we were all there, especially for us in the UK. It was kind of like the time when the UK changed, in my opinion, because the UK from the 90s went out of recession. Then it was unbelievable. You could get a good job, you could get make good money, and then we
yeah,
had the Royal Bank of Scotland, and especially like from your side of it was so real from investment, stock markets, and all of that. So when Bitcoin white paper came out, and eventually 2009 and beyond, that's what he saw, and he was telling us, and I'm saying to people now, get yourself some money into the crypto market,
yeah,
make some decent money, and then diversify into Bitcoin. Look at 10
yeah,
years from now. But don't come in now with your $1,000 and park it in Bitcoin.
Make
Because you're
$200.
$200, yeah, and you're still super early. Like, take that
Yeah.
$1,000 and go into what I consider to be unbelievable projects out there that will 20x, 30x some of them, your wealth, and then take that 20, 30x and get a portion of Bitcoin. And I think that's
Yeah.
that's where people are going to make the money.
Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling is something that will not just challenge your perspective, but also touch your heart and soul. It's a book that defies convention, blending art and literature into a thought-provoking masterpiece. A reflective piece of provocative art that tackles societal constructs from angles you've never considered. Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling delves into the very essence of our existence. It questions the technology that surrounds us, challenges our notions of beauty, stares unflinchingly into the eyes of death, and questions the boundaries of freedom. It scrutinized the educational system that molds our very future. This book is a journey, an exploration of shared human experience, and it's a work of art that refuses to be confined by tradition. It's a canvas painted with words, a melody of thought, and a testament to the power of creativity in a world dominated by algorithms and data. Visit moonboycapitalventures.com and get your hands on Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling today. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Now let's jump back into the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that people don't understand, because you mentioned early, right? And I remember when I got in 2020, my friend's like, "Oh, you're late. It's already it's already worth X amount of dollars and blah 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 and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Like, institutions aren't even investing in this thing. We are early. Look at MetaMask. Like, MetaMask looks like it's 1996. Like, I'm like, what is this?" I'm like, dude, we are early. I don't care what you're talking about. We are early. And I still think we're early. I think now the institutions are just now starting to get in. And I think there will be more nation states adopting it, which also leads me to another question is, if nation states are adopting it, and El Salvador has made it legal tender, which makes it cash, why is it that people are then getting taxed on it? It would be like if I swap my dollars to euros. I don't get taxed on that, right? It's just me swapping from one currency to another to use a like-minded exchange to then purchase goods and services. So I don't know what your take is on that specifically, but it's kind of weird, right?
Right. Great question. I mean, that's kind of for me, it's a multipolar question. Because when we go to the forex market, we pay an exchange fee,
Yeah.
set by whatever the central banks are. And so, if you went and changed, I don't know, $20 for 20 euros, or for example, the dirham here is 3.6 dirhams, 6, 7 dirhams to the dollar, as a fixed exchange mechanism. And I think there's a question around that. The other question is the adaptation of nation states into Bitcoin. What does that do to the IMF? Because if you look at the case of El Salvador now, they're about to pay off. If Bitcoin does another, I don't know how many, if it hits 100,000, they can literally pay off their IMF debt. So they're no longer enslaved by the global economy, right?
Yes.
They become, this nation that has a surplus. And then you go back to Africa and all the other emerging economies, and that has an implication for them. But in terms of taxes, if we, on the one hand, it is fair to pay an exchange fee, in my opinion, because I think what you're doing is you've got essentially what's a commodity, that is better than gold, that's better than real estate, that's borderless, that's trustless. So you will have to pay tax on it, in my opinion. But then there's that, obviously, in terms of the taxes itself. For many of the economies, I mean, Dubai is a tax-free country,
Yeah.
because taxes don't comply with Sharia law. And the attraction here is I can come and cash out with no personal income tax, which is fantastic. So I guess even, it touches so many points where you find global jurisdictions of tax havens where a lot of these crypto millionaires are now moving into. But if you're in a tax country, the way they'll do that is so you've got short term capital gains and long term. So if you bought crypto, for example, let's say in the US or the UK, and you sold it within or under a year, you're liable to pay tax on it when
Yeah.
you get the transaction. However, if you hold it beyond a year, it's still an open contract, right? So
Yeah.
you've done the part of the buying, but you haven't done the selling. So even within that, if you bought $10,000 or $20,000 of Bitcoin and it goes to 100K, well, your 10,000 investment or 20,000 investment is considered as a cost. So that's not taxable. It's an investment. So I think the dynamics, especially like you said in El Salvador, it's inevitable. You know, crypto people in crypto can't have it all their own way. I think nation states are really, really terrified. And
Yeah.
on the positive end, you know, there's another example we'll talk about in Nigeria in a minute. But
Yeah. Yeah.
on the complete opposite end of the spectrum is El Salvador, and congratulations to them for taking off the shackles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. But I had because in that example that you made about, okay, you buy Bitcoin and then it goes up in price and you would pay probably a gain after that cost basis amount. What then about these countries that are hyperinflating and they're swapping their currency into US dollars and that is going up in value against their currency? Are they then going to pay a capital gain for that? Because if El Salvador had made Bitcoin legal tender, it's considered cash. So if I'm swapping my cash from one phase of cash to another side of cash, then should that be a taxable event, or is it just that I'm saving myself the hardship of losing purchasing power because you can't control your monetary policy? And that's the question that I know it's one of those like down the rabbit hole, but
Yes.
I don't know what you think about it.
I think it's they're terrified, quite
Yeah.
simply. I think I mean, how do you govern this thing anyway? Like, to start with, do you if you can't really control it, which again, the examples are out there right now. I think it's a fantastic question. I don't think there's one simple answer to it, but I tend to agree with your observation there of as a taxable event. I mean, are they terrified because they can't really control it? And I think we're going to start seeing more and more and more examples of that, in my opinion. I think that it's only a matter of time when this is going to come, because even now, we're talking about the taxes, but if you look at who's buying Bitcoin now, there's been, every time we have a drop, I know that there's been a scoop of hundreds of Bitcoins off the market daily. And the only analysis is it's a nation state. And
Yes.
and especially in this part of the world, there's a heavy focus on even owning the maximum amount of Bitcoin, and that leads to another question. Are we going to have a fair and equitable world moving forward when there is that massive divide? Because the whole idea of Bitcoin is to take the middlemen out,
Yeah.
right? So you got your corporations, you got your Royal Banks of Scotland, and all of these hedge funds and whatever, just manipulating price. But just to summarize your question, I think nation states are frightened about how to tax this thing, and nobody can figure out. For me, at this point, anyway, it's going to be an issue. Yeah.
I think the issue won't be that the nation states are buying. The people I think that will struggle the most after they've bought and they have it in their reserves are the people who are not capitalist. Because if you're a capitalist and you're creating value for society and you want to exchange it for a medium of exchange, which seems suitable for you, you would maybe not choose fiat then, maybe want to choose Bitcoin. So if you're providing a high degree of value for society, you would still be able to extract Bitcoin in a different way instead of having to buy it out in the open market like some of these nation states are doing, or these corporations. So I do think that it's going to be a premium though, and you need to have some high level of skill set or some kind of thing that people really, really want to be able to exchange that once people really realize the true value. I still think Bitcoin's super underpriced. I think people still haven't realized the true extent of the value of Bitcoin. And also, overpriced is very, very, it depends, right? Because it depends on what you're trading Bitcoin against. Because if we're talking about Argentinian pesos or Nigerian nairas, well, it already reached all-time high like over a year ago, you know? So
Yes.
this is the thing. It's like, it's so nuanced, you know? And, you know, what is Bitcoin? Some people would say it's a saving grace for inflation. Some people would say it's a measurement for global liquidity. Some people would say it's a store of value. Some people would say it's a currency. I'm still trying to figure out myself, bro. Like, honestly, it's one of those things that I just know that it's going to be something. That's one thing that I do know. It's going to be something. I don't know to what extent. And I don't know what's going to happen when if in mass businesses just start accepting Bitcoin, because as they're phasing out cash, is crypto going to become the new form of cash? Because let's just be honest, man. People, you know, we're already getting taxed through the money printing, right? And so people sometimes just accept cash, and you know they're not putting it in their books. Let's just be honest, you know. So I'm like, is crypto going to be that new thing where people are just like, okay, like I'll just accept Dogecoin or whatever. You know, I don't know what coins. What do you think about the meme coins, anyways, man? Like, the meme coin. Oh, you know what? You know what, bro? Because last cycle, what I noticed was like the liquidity. It flowed. It went to Bitcoin, then from Bitcoin directly into ETH, then from ETH into the mid caps, then from the mid caps to the degen plays. This cycle, what I'm noticing is it's like it's going from Bitcoin to Solana, then from Solana to like straight degen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I honestly, I think the so first of all, this is kind of probably down my street in terms of my investor acumen.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you know, there's no logic sometimes to what I do, and
Yeah.
over the years, I found success in that. You know, be as dumb as you can, and everything will work out in the end.
Yeah.
You know, don't be sitting there with your Excel sheet every day calculating every penny, because boy, more often than not, we lose in crypto. But once we win big. And I think
Yeah.
I totally agree with you in terms of the capital flow right now into Solana. And I think, you know, I had a comment the other day. Somebody said, look, I was comparing Casper and what was going on with that project in terms of its future. And then he said, listen, you should have, you know, joined us years ago, Ethereum. And my reply to him was, listen, don't worry about Casper. That's way down the scale for you. Worry about Solana. So if there's ever been a true ETH killer, because I can tell you now, I love what Ethereum has done to my life in terms of being kind of getting in there, you know, $40, $50, 70, whatever it was, and then obviously having a number of good tokens. But for me, it really needs to worry about Solana. Solana is the ETH killer. Like, people don't understand, even now, working with Solana dexes, buying meme coins, the whole the onboarding, the speed, the transaction fees, and that's how we were able to get projects like the Book of Meme, which has done something. And I wish I can show you the chart, but the Book of Meme came out, as did Pepe. And Pepe was kind of different in terms of obviously being on ETH, but a lot of these Solana tokens are now printing millionaires. There are
Yeah.
days now where I can do 5 to 10x within 4 hours and hop in and hop out. Now it's interesting how I used to make the what I call the dollar cost average money, because it's not all
Yeah.
coming out of my pocket, right? So I used to be able to go to the leverage market and put some directional bets on the price of Bitcoin or Solana or
You
whichever,
degenerate.
and then take that USDT and then deploy it into my moonbags, right? What
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
able to do instead now is I'm able to get into stuff like Success Kid. I made about 6x and I hopped out. Eventually did about 10, 12x. Penguin's another one. There's so many. I mean, they come out every day. you can absolutely be scammed, and you should be prepared if you don't do your due diligence. Because if you go to a Dex Screener or Bird Eye or any of these platforms to go and look for these meme coins, you really need to know what you're looking for in terms
Yes.
of liquidity, in terms of site. So it's tough,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more chance for you to make money. And I think for me, they are here to stay throughout this whole entire bull run. I think we're
Yeah.
going to have a continuous meme meme season blowing up from Base, from Solana, AVAX as well is the other one. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about just going ahead, before the narrative, in my opinion. So if you would have told me in January the dog with hat was going to do $4 billion on a daily volume and it's going to be $3 billion in market cap, I would have laughed at you. It was absolutely sitting there doing nothing. I mean, what's a dog with a
Yeah.
hat,
Yeah.
right? And now the dog with a hat has a wife,
Yeah.
and he's got, there's an ape with a hat. One of my guys said to me one day, "Listen, let's create a meme coin." I said, "What?" He said, XRP with a hat, because it's not moving, right? Just imagine how that would do, bro. Just an idea. A special
Oh
bonus for
man.
anyone that's going to create a meme coin. XRP with a hat. So I think for me, it's really exciting. Unlike a lot of my friends, I haven't been adverse to these meme coins. But if you bought Pepe, so again, I'm an accidental investor sometimes. I don't want to
Yeah.
pretend to be genius, but being in the space for 18 hours a day, I love what I do in crypto. So what I
Yeah.
did last year, I bought Pepe, no pre-sale, nothing, on the I think there's the 28th of April or 26th of April, something like that. And then early May got listed on Binance, if I remember. It got listed on Binance.
Yeah.
And I bought like 15 to 20 billion of these tokens. And
Yeah.
didn't think really. I mean, this was the first big meme coin after probably Flowkey, Shiba, and Doge. So
Yeah.
when it did that, I offloaded half, and I said to myself, "Look, what am I going to do with the other half?" And this is what gets people wrecked: identify the good meme coins, let them die off, let the narrative go into something else. I mean, now they're becoming political. So you've got Trump doing really well after the U.S. election. That could be an opportunity play.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got Joe Biden with his set of meme coins. So
Joe
you've got to
Budden.
play them. And there
It's
was the
ridiculous,
Obama
bro.
one. Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's the Obama one last year. Obama's Sonic Inu or
yeah.
something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So it's probably the only site that gets me super excited on a day-to-day basis. While I'm keeping my good projects away, there's amazing layer ones out there that I'm sure we'll talk about. But yeah, stay engaged in the meme casino. Buy when it's dead, and just wait for
Yeah.
that explosion early next year, or even around the November time. This is when you should be buying, positioning yourself, and then sell into the US election. Let that market die down again, and then we're going to have one hurrah of meme coins. So Book of Meme, Pepe, if it retraces 50%, pack your
Yeah.
bags.
Stay tuned for part 2, and as always, see you, Space Cowboy.